And I, even still today, I refuse to believe it was bad luck because, I mean, within that 30-minute consultation with the oncologist, they didn't ask me about my history.
Or
They didn't
diet.
ask me about my diet. How are you going to make a treatment plan and a judgment call if you're not asking what I believe are key questions?
ET plus, which means photodynamic therapy. So they actually shoot ultraviolet lights into your veins to clean out your blood.
Mm,
What cancer can do.
yeah,
Society, movies, songs, it's cancer equals death.
yeah.
And that's just not the narrative we want
Mhm.
to people to hear is cancer doesn't mean death.
This episode of the Good Living Now podcast is sponsored by our friends at Kuvings. Now, I've tried many cold pressed juices over the years, but the Kuvings Auto10 has truly simplified my routine. Now, my personal experience is that it's simple to operate and quick to clean. Now, with the Auto10, I can make everything from nice cream to morning smoothies to sorbets, and I can even make plant-based milk. Now, if you'd like to give it a try, use my affiliate code JUICEGUY at checkout to save 10% on Kuvings. All right, go ahead, grab your fresh produce and get your juice on. To the Good Living Now podcast, where we talk to real people about real change leading to real health. I'm your host, Harold Leffall, and today, well, we have two guests today, a husband and wife team, Zach and Savannah. Well, they have experienced a valley experience when Zach was actually diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer. Well, today he's cancer free, and they're going to tell us all about how he did it. Welcome to the show, Zach and Savannah.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Awesome, awesome.
We just woke up from a nap not too long ago with our kids, and so we have 5 kids
Oh, you have 5 kids?
and a sixth
Oh,
one on the
wow.
way.
Y'all have been busy.
That's what everybody says. Yeah, and
When
then we throw a cancer diagnosis in on Monday.
Oh, wow. When is the baby due?
Couple more weeks.
Oh,
I'm around 37 weeks. So,
oh, wow.
yeah.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's a girl. So we will
Oh,
have
so you're-
5 girls and 1 boy.
Wow.
Yeah, we're crazy. We're crazy.
Wow. Well, look, I am so excited to have you guys on the show. I actually ran across your story. I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw you get into one of those what is it? Hyperbaric? Is that
Yep.
hyperbaric chambers?
Mhm.
And I was like, what is he doing? Because I've seen those before, and every time I see them, I get nervous because they have one at the wellness place that I go to, but I'm claustrophobic, so I'm afraid to get in it. So I saw you in it, and that's what kind of got my attention. And then I saw your story and saw that you had been diagnosed with colorectal cancer at the age of 33. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Wow. So how did you find out like that you had the cancer?
Yeah. So back in 2022, was just having some, I would say, bowel issues, stomach issues. Um, and so I'm like, you know what? I told Savannah, let me eat cleaner and let's see if this resolves. Uh,
Mhm.
and by eating cleaner, it meant instead of Doritos, it was like veggies fries or veggie sticks. So it's I really wasn't looking at ingredients like we
Right.
do now, and it was just more like, oh, these are less calories, and let me snack less.
Mm.
So yeah, I was just having issues, and really, I've had issues for forever, honestly.
Mm.
All through my 20s, I would say I had gut issues, and then even now into my 30s. Um, so it got to the point where she made a roast for me. That was my
Uh-huh.
favorite meal, roast and what else? Roast and
With
veggies and potatoes and
potatoes.
yeah, the
Uh-huh.
works.
Uh-huh.
And my stomach couldn't process it. And it
Mm.
just felt like it was stuck like in my chest. And we ended up, what was it, a day or two later, we went to the ER, and we're like,
Mm.
something's not right. And I had a CT scan done where nothing came up, and they dismissed me from the ER with abdominal pain.
Wow.
The CT scan for some reason missed it. And the only reason that we were ever given was because he obviously had a tumor growing in his rectum, but they thought maybe he was so full of poop that
Oh,
it didn't catch the mass.
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks
Wow.
later there was a GI doctor who repeated a scan and found it. So we're still
wow.
not sure about that.
We
Wow.
don't know
So
if it
you,
was the tech or the machine. I mean, there could be a million different reasons.
so you, they sent you home and nothing still was moving?
No.
Wow.
So, well, I think later that night, I
Mm.
ended up like throwing up in the
Yeah.
middle of the
Mm.
night, because I'm like, okay, that's not coming out the back
Right.
end. So
Right.
I'm like, it's making me sick.
That was probably a really sad moment. I'm in counseling, talking with a counselor about some of these moments that we went through, because they were, I mean, just you don't want to hold on to anything, right? And they
Mhm.
even say with colon cancer, what we learned was if you hold on to things and you don't express them and don't let things out, then chances are you'll that's where a cancer will grow. Is the job of the colon is to expel things, and so if you're
Yeah.
holding on to crap,
Yeah.
so I'm in some counseling working through things, but I never think about that being something I should bring up with
Yeah.
my counselor, because I
Mm.
woke up in the middle of the night and he's at the toilet throwing up, and I'm like,
Wow.
something's not right. But
Right.
then you found
Yeah.
blood.
Yes. And there was blood in my stool. And that's
Mm.
when I don't remember how, I mean, it could have been a couple weeks, it could have been a couple months. I really wasn't
Mm.
paying attention, but this one particular time, around that time, I looked down and I ran downstairs and said, Savannah, I don't know how long it's been this way, but there's blood in my stool, and we got to figure something, like something's not right.
Wow.
So that really kicked us up into gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then you.
I called a GI doctor and
Mm.
got him in, and he repeated the CT scan. The troubling part was that nobody wanted to get a colonoscopy because he was so young. So we
Mm.
always tell people, now we're advocates for, don't ignore symptoms, because colorectal cancer specifically is increasing in younger
Younger
people,
people.
a
Yeah.
lot younger people. And you don't get a colonoscopy until you're 45. They just lowered that from 50.
Mm.
But that wouldn't have helped in our case, at all. So
Right.
I had to really push for them to schedule a colonoscopy. They wanted to wait a couple weeks or months, and I was like, no, we need it now.
Mm.
So
She went into mama bear mode. I'm over here. She's like a little chihuahua, biting at the ankles of the doctors and anybody. I'm over here like a lab dog, just being like, well, the doctor said they can get us in 3 weeks. And she's
Right.
over here, that's not good enough. That's not good
And,
enough.
and that's why I always tell people who are maybe going through like a health crisis to have someone with them, because you need an advocate with you, because it's hard for you to even process everything that's going on. So you need somebody that's kind of making sure that that the doctors are answering the questions, or are asking questions that you might have, that you might feel intimidated or just overwhelmed, and not think to ask. So that's really
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
mhm.
And so you do the colonoscopy and they come back. How long did it take for them to come back to tell you the diagnosis?
Well, so I was never, okay, so I was still knocked out from the colonoscopy, and the doctor came in and just said, we got to wait till it comes back from pathology. And mind you, we have a 2-month-old baby, and
Mm.
Savannah's with us. And I never heard from that doctor that I had a cancerous tumor. He told Savannah, and we highlight it in our book that we can talk about later, but he says, you can fill your husband in, but based on my experience, this is cancer. We just have to wait for pathology. And then I remember the last thing I said before going in was, I don't want to wake up being told I have cancer.
Mm.
And then Savannah thought I was gonna flip out.
I
Right,
had to be
right.
the one
Yeah.
to tell him. So the doctor walked away. He came to me and said, you know, your husband has cancer. There's a large mass in the lowest part of his colon, so it's colorectal cancer. Um, we had to take pathology, so we won't have a treatment plan until after that comes back. But once that comes back, he'll need a port and he'll get started on chemo and radiation and eventually have surgery and then more chemo. So I'm taking all of this in while I'm holding our 10-week-old baby, nursing her.
Wow.
And he's just in the bed sleeping, and I was like, how am I gonna wake him up? Like when he wakes up from the
Yeah.
procedure, I have to tell him. So I'm still so thankful. There was a nurse who came alongside of me, literally grabbed my hand and told me step by step what the
Mm.
next things that were going to happen were. I didn't even know what an oncologist was. Like all
Mm.
these words are
Yeah,
being thrown around, and the word
right.
metastasis like is scary to us now, but back
Hmm.
then when they said that, I had no idea what that even meant.
Right, right.
So
So,
from finding that out to the oncologist appointment, that was 4 or 5 days.
mm,
So I mean, everything went so stinking quick.
right, right. So when Savannah told you, Zach, that the test came back that you had cancer, what was your reaction?
I think I always say I think part of it is it was the drugs to where I was calm, but I
Mm.
also had
Yeah.
this great sense of divine or spiritual peace. I would say it was peace from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So some people say it's the earth or the universe, or like our belief is that it was the Holy Spirit that gave me that peace. And
Yeah.
then other people say, oh, it's just the drugs coming off of the anesthesia, which I get. But
Right.
I remember the last thing I said was, I don't want to wake up and find out I have cancer. And then I had complete peace through. It was like the world was in slow motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
feel like it was like we were flung up out of our bodies and we're like watching it like happen in real
yeah.
life because it was all everything was in slow motion and trying to communicate. I thought, is he not understanding? Because he
Yeah.
was just so calm, like, and yeah, I do think, our faith in Jesus. I just know that God filled him and he was able to take it well.
Yeah.
So
That is so interesting because I had a very similar experience when my doctor never even said the word cancer. My
Mm.
urologist, he just said we need to talk about treatment plans. I'm like, but he
mm,
never said, and so I knew what that meant. But I had this peace about everything. I mean, I didn't know what even, I got this diagnosis. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the future holds, but I think I was surprised, when I look back on it as well, that I was like, I didn't freak out, and um, the same year I was diagnosed, I had had two friends who had died of cancer.
oh
So
wow.
still cancer was like really, really kind of around me and individuals that were close to me who had died. But I never had that fear. There was just a calmness. And
Mhm.
so they're wanting to rush you to do the chemo or they're talking about chemo and radiation. So kind of how are you processing all of that? And had you had any family members family members or close friends who had gone through cancer?
Really, the only person that I knew of was Savannah's
Yeah.
her uncle
Mm,
Jeff, who
mm,
had what kind of cancer was that?
Stage 4 multiple myeloma.
mm.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never had anybody anywhere close to me die ever. And all of a sudden I get flung into this cancer world where people, some people are thriving, some people are struggling, and they're still in the valley, and then there's others who have passed on. So it's just,
Mhm.
to me, this is a weird paradigm that I'm in, because the last person really that died in my family was like a great uncle. I don't even know how they died, or maybe a great
Wow.
aunt, but it's like I really
Yeah.
didn't know them, they live 4 hours away from me, and so yeah, I don't really know anybody that other than Jeff that died from cancer.
Wow. Wow. And
So
so now your world is kind of completely turned around now with this diagnosis. So then what happens next?
yeah, so the doctors, well, I kept asking why. Like, I wanted to know, why did a seemingly healthy 33-year-old, why did he get stage 3 cancer? How did cancer begin to grow? Um, and yeah, I've always been curious. And so Jesus changed my life when I was 17 years old.
Mhm.
And I've always gone against the grain ever since I was 17. Some people say it's like rebellious, others people say it's to be difficult. I just think it's like Jesus was a pretty radical guy against
Uh-huh.
the, like, he was countercultural, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm
Right.
like, I live my life countercultural. If the culture says to do this, I do the exact opposite. So now with cancer, it's like, okay, let's, you're supposed to listen to your doctors. You're supposed to do chemo. You get diagnosed in America, you do chemo, maybe radiation, you probably have surgery, and then most cases you have chemo to clean everything up afterwards.
Mhm.
And from my colonoscopy to my oncologist appointment, I just started praying. And I didn't tell Savannah this until after my oncologist appointment, but God gave me that same peace and told me there's a different path, but it's a faith, like a faith journey. Like, that's kind of how
Mm.
God was stirring in my heart, was, you're going to go
Right.
on that, I'm going to take you on this faith journey through cancer, but I'm
Mhm.
not going to give you all the pieces to the puzzle. And that's really
Mm.
what I wanted. While I was asking the doctors, I was trying to collect all the pieces of the puzzle and the
Yeah.
information so I could put the puzzle pieces together.
Together, right.
So that's really where, my oncologist said, okay, we're going to put a port placement in you. We're going to start chemo like within a week or week and a half. And I'm like, okay, you're ordering a port placement, but you're ordering also a PET scan. You want me to have the port placement to be ready for chemo without us even having a full picture of if it spread anywhere else from a PET scan. So that's
Mhm.
kind of where my radars were going up. And I'm like, this isn't really making sense.
And what did the doctor say to you when you were asking the question, why? How is this happening to an otherwise healthy 33-year-old man? What did the doctors?
Yeah, they said it was either genetic or it was bad luck. And we
And
we
that,
got a genetic test back, and it wasn't genetic. And I, even still today, I refuse to believe it was bad luck, because I mean, within that 30-minute consultation with the oncologist, they didn't ask me about my history.
Or
They didn't ask
diet.
me about my diet. How are you going to make a treatment plan and a judgment call if you're not asking what I believe are key questions?
and I had the same experience because I had three doctors. I had my primary physician, oncologist, and urologist. And they kind of just acted like cancer just kind of came out of the sky. Like,
Mhm.
like it's just this random thing that just happened to me.
Right.
And it was only when I started doing my own research that I found that there was a correlation between like meat and dairy and prostate cancer.
Mhm.
None of my doctors talked to me about diet or even how stress affects our health. And I had gone through a lot of trauma that never had been addressed until the diagnosis.
Mm.
So okay, so you they're telling you that they want to put this port in you to do chemo, and you talking to Jesus, and it's like, no, wait a minute. And so then what did you decide?
Yeah, so I walked out of the appointment, and again, Savannah is holding our 2-month-old, and I said, I'm not supposed to do this. I said, and
Mm,
she's in there writing everything down,
yeah.
you know,
I had a whole calendar of when his port placement
the time,
appointment was.
the time frame of, what was it, 8 to 10 months. And
Uh-huh.
we walk out of there, and I didn't want to cut the doctor off
Right.
or anything like that. Like I'm open. I was open to listening to all the conventional doctors with what they
Yes.
said,
Hmm.
and I told Savannah, I said, God has revealed that he's got a different path for us, and we're going to go down it. And I don't even know what that means, but it's
Mm,
more of an alternative. It's not the conventional. And I told Savannah, this is kind of where we get the saying. Okay, we don't like the word cure because I don't know. The conventional world says cure. I don't really look
mm,
at myself as really being cured, but the
mm,
first thing I said when I got out of there was, if I can find the cure,
No.
that, or if I can find the
Cause.
cause, then I can
cause.
find the cure.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where we're Labié wellness, find the cause, then find the cure. So
Mm,
that's kind of really where that came from. So it was just a play on words of really right after my oncologist appointment was, if I can figure out why my body produced cancer, then
right.
we can reverse this or fix this.
Hmm.
Um,
And it was an empowering feeling, knowing like, well, the doctors are saying diet doesn't matter, supplements don't matter, lifestyle doesn't matter, environmental factors don't matter. But when you really start digging and doing your own research, you realize, wait, they actually do. And that's not heaping shame,
Right.
that's empowering.
Right.
It's like, I don't to blame ourselves for cancer. That's not really how we saw it. It was
Hmm.
like, he made these choices, this is the way we were living. It was only a matter of time that
Hmm.
disease strikes. So
Right.
and I had this vision of, like, the doctors have their own set of tools in their own toolbox.
Hmm.
And I also questioned with Savannah just through our conversations of, who's to say they have all the tools that were ever made in those toolboxes. So I'm like, we need to get our own toolbox and start adding our own tools into it.
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of what we did.
You know what? I was so surprised when I was doing my research to find that at the time, only about 20% of medical students took a single class nutrition. Like that just wasn't a part of the curriculum and it still isn't. The numbers are a little higher now, but they're just not taught a lot of times about nutrition.
Mhm.
That's not a part of their training.
and if
Yeah.
and if they are taught the little bit that they are, they're not taught how to use food as medicine.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
might learn, how fiber impacts gut health. They might learn things like that, but we, like you and I, you guys used plants or still
Hmm.
use plants as medicine. Like
Yeah.
when we juice, that's not like we're gonna take a fun drink down to the beach and enjoy
Right.
a glass. This is like an infusion. Like
Yeah.
you really have to view, the carrot. He drank so much carrot juice, like he turned orange. And it's not because he loves carrots,
And
it
Uh-huh.
was like, this is a carrot infusion.
I would
Yeah.
say this is my chemo, this is my medicine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
early on, it's like, okay, it's either this or I'm gonna, it's either do chemo or drink this juice.
Right.
And I always say, a lot of people probably say it can't be that easy, because I questioned
Hmm.
everything that the Lord laid on my heart, and I'm like,
Hmm.
it can't be this easy. And then he gave me this change of mind again, and he said, it's not about what's easy, but it's what's simple. And it made me think,
Mm.
huh, you know what? Drinking 96 ounces of juice every
Mm.
day for 90 days straight, that's not easy, but it
Right.
is sure
Yeah.
simple.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah.
And so, when did you guys start to look at like food as medicine, and how did you guys get to that point?
So so we went to Hope for Cancer in Mexico. So it's a cancer holistic clinic, non-toxic treatments, and that was really the springboard. Um,
to all of our research.
to
And they really helped us dig deep to find all the root causes. So we're still so thankful for Hope for Cancer, because they don't just accept the bad luck and bad genes and bad luck. They are actually like, no, let's figure out what led to a cancer diagnosis. And so I think when you find doctors who have the same vision that you do, you're like, yes, it's not that we're anti-doctor. We just want to make sure that we're on the same page and that you will support our vision and that you have the same vision. So these doctors there, it was awesome. We were there for 3 weeks, 21 days of straight treatment. From morning to night. It was packed with treatments. But every day a doctor, your doctor that was assigned to him, would come into just even to our room and sit down in our bed with us and say, how are you doing today? And what kind of new symptoms are you facing? And so it was, I think Hope for Cancer, that whole 3-week experience was, like Zach said, the springboard that jumped us into this research. Every day you're given, I don't know how many juices you drank every day at Hope for Cancer, but he started having regular bowel movements and his stomach stopped hurting for once in for the
years.
first time in years.
Wow.
And I was like, he's totally different. His energy level was up. He wasn't falling asleep on me during middle of conversation. And we always kind of laugh because he started farting, which he hadn't been doing because he was so inflamed.
Oh, wow.
So inflamed. So I think, when we went to Hope for Cancer, you were given all this education. They want you to really know and be educated and informed in what you're doing and what it's doing for your body. They want that belief behind it all. But then to also see the results. Like we came home and he jumped right back. We bought a juicer. We juiced every day. And he felt better than he had ever felt. Now you lost a lot of weight.
I lost 20 pounds in 90. So I did a 90-day juice fast. And I lost 20 pounds, and I had family and friends say, "Oh, it's the cancer, it's dwindling you." And I'm like, I feel amazing. What are you talking about? I feel alive for the first time in my life. Yeah.
So the 3-week of treatment at the Hope for Cancer, what did that involve?
So yeah, it was a lot of like detoxing. So they used heat treatment, light treatment, sound treatment, the hyperbaric chamber, oxygen chamber,
IVs.
IVs.
A lot of IVs we can't get here in the States even.
Did a curcumin IV, B17 IVs, laser. What were those called?
It's called PDT plus, which means photodynamic therapy. So they actually shoot ultraviolet lights into your veins to clean out your blood.
Oh, wow.
And then there was another therapy that they actually took out a whole liter of blood and then they put ozone into the blood and then sent it through a machine that used ultraviolet light to clean the blood. And then they would put it back into your body. The whole therapy took like 90 minutes. That was probably the longest one. And you just sit there and talk to your new friends.
And then there was the therapy, like dealing with traumas.
It's the best. And it's behavioral, emotional, social therapist, I think. Don't quote me on that. I think that's it. But it's called the best therapy, and they help with like childhood traumas and
so it's really part of their philosophy is like mind, body, soul.
So and holistic.
It's making the whole person whole again, and trying to figure that out.
Right.
Because I mean, if you would have asked me if there's connections between certain like parts of the body, I would have said no, you're crazy. And I mean, this whole vessel is one unit. Like it all flows together.
Yeah.
So
you get back from Hope for Cancer. You're home, you're juicing for 90 days, you're feeling good. and then what happens next?
We stayed doing that for almost 10 months.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so we stuck, he felt great.
And
And
so the goal was to try to shrink my tumor. Yeah, really shrink my tumor so I wouldn't have to have surgery.
Okay.
So I was 2/3 blocked. So it was a pretty, I mean, I don't know how big a rectum is, but I mean, it's, the
Yeah.
majority. And
Yeah.
that's just where, I mean, I was losing all that weight from all the juices and smoothies I was drinking,
Mhm.
and was feeling amazing. We'd wake up every morning at 5:30. She would start juicing every morning for what I would need for the day. And then I was doing therapies before work.
Mhm.
Then we made up a schedule. We would always tweak the schedule. That's what some people, it's like you gotta put a schedule together, but you also have to know that you need to throw audibles in there possibly, and not just stick to the strict schedule, but that you got to have grace for yourself because you only
Yeah.
get so many times in the day. But I never missed a day of work. And then I started implementing. I'm like, you know what? I don't have enough time to do everything that I want to do at home.
Mhm.
So I started, like, I have a vibrating plate machine, and
Uh-huh.
I put it under my desk at work, and I'd be at my desk, I'd be at my computer desk shaking, and people would come in and they'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "It's one of my therapies," and I'm just over here working away, looking like a madman. But yeah.
And what does that machine do? The vibrating machine. What does
So
that
yeah,
do?
it shakes up your lymphatic system for
Mm.
lymphatic drainage.
Mhm.
you just want to make
Mm.
sure your lymphatic system's, we like to say, alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic.
Mm.
My kids have made up a little hand motion for that, but yeah, uh, if you think of your lymphatic system, it needs your immune system. They work hand in hand. So
Uh-huh.
if your lymphatic system is sleeping, then it can't send those toxins to your drainage pathways to get to eliminate.
Mm.
So we learned that at Hope for Cancer, but they had a vibration plate and they wanted every patient to be on the vibration plate every day, twice a day for 10 minutes. So when we came home, that was a therapy that we invested in.
Oh wow.
So during this whole time, Savannah is researching like crazy, and I'm over here praying. So honestly, we make a good team, and
Yeah.
we talk about even now being out of the valley. I think it was harder on her.
Mm.
I always say I'm a simple-minded male. I I'm not the brightest of a slow processor, but it's like I still don't know if I know what I was up against having stage 3 cancer. I
Yeah.
think Savannah really wore that burden more than I even did.
Uh-huh.
Um, but the entire time it's like, if I had fear, or even Savannah, like I'd go back into my praying corner that we made up here in our room, and I would just start praying, and the peace
Mm.
of God would just overflow me. And
Mm.
she would find, new research, or like Chris Wark with Chris Beat Cancer. We found some of his stuff, and that was really encouraging,
Mm.
because he had it young, in his upper 20s, same kind of cancer, stage 3. But
Mm.
she would bring stuff to me that she's learning, and then I would pray about it. And then there
Mm.
were some things that was like, I felt like God gave the green light to go do, and then there were other things that was like, now's not the time. Don't do it right
Mm.
now. So that
Mm.
was kind of our philosophy in our gauge was, um, our gauge
That's my
was,
son. You can come on now. We already see you. That's my
hey,
son. We
we're
record.
not formal at all.
Yeah, that's my son. He's going to work. We'll probably keep this in.
Yeah, keep it in. Hey, we like it. That authenticity.
um,
But
Mhm.
I would pray about everything, and we would say, God, if you're gonna keep the door open, then we'll walk through those doors. But whatever door you want, I don't know. I looked at it as like a hallway, and all the doors are open. And as we're walking down a long hallway, doors are closing. And it's like, Lord, if you close the door, we're going to keep walking down this hall. But if there's an open door, we're going to walk through it. And some people call us crazy, especially people who don't have faith, like in the divine.
Right.
I mean, I got called crazy a lot. I had somebody say, you believe God talks to people? And I said, I don't know if he's talking to other people, but he sure is talking to me, and it's making a lot of sense.
Right. And what were your doctors in the States? What were they saying?
So the doctors who like diagnosed me, I never went back to them. My doctor that diagnosed me, this was before we even knew we were going to Hope for Cancer. This was probably a week before we knew we were going to Hope for Cancer. I needed FMLA paperwork for my work for time off. And they were like, you have to have your doctor sign it. And I was like, I really don't have a doctor. And I called him back, and I called his office, I think Savannah called their office and said, my husband needs this FMLA paper. A doctor needs to sign it. And he doesn't have a regular doctor. Like, you're the only doctor he's ever seen. And they said, well, you didn't go with his treatment plan, so you're no longer a patient of his. So as soon as we found out we were going to Hope for Cancer, which was within a week later, we called them and we said, we don't know, like, if this is legal for government documentation for my work, but we need a doctor to sign off on this for my leave of absence. And they were like, yeah, sure, send it over. And we're like, Lord, you kept that door open. So, yeah. It's
another thing we did that we love to talk about because we think it can help a lot of other people. In that 11 months of healing, yes, we drank a lot of juice and we detoxed heavy metals, and he did some parasite cleansing and all the treatments that Hope for Cancer sent us home with. We stuck with those in that strict regimen for 11 months, and then he ended up having surgery. But in the middle there, we found out that he had 2 infected root canals. And we had those root canals tested. I wanted to know what bacteria is laying dormant is laying hidden, I guess, into his mouth. And so it was called oraldnalabs.com, and you can find a provider near you. But it was a swab, and then he spit into a cup, and they sent it out, and it gives you 11 different dental pathogens that can be lurking in your mouth. And he tested really high for 3, but one specifically was called Fusobacterium. So when I found that out, the whole chart, it was so high of Fusobacterium. And knowing with a 3D cone beam scan of his mouth, the 2 root canals they had huge abscesses growing. One was in his front tooth and one is a molar. So we had him taken out.
It looked like Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber.
So before we had those removed, I had my periopath test done, and one of the bacteria was Fusobacterium, and that was in his mouth. Well, that is a dental pathogen that goes through your lymphatic system and your blood system and your blood, and it can actually cause cancer tumors to grow.
Oh, wow.
And if you just Google, like even Google will agree with me on this, the number 1 bacteria for colorectal cancer is Fusobacterium. Wow. So we said at that appointment, rip the teeth out, take them out. Like, even though it's his front tooth and a back molar that he needs to eat, this was one of the major causes. And so he had those pulled, and then they used ozone. They injected ozone to kill that bacteria in his mouth. So now we've learned carrots are super effective against killing Fusobacterium, and that's why you see a lot of colon cancer survivors who have drank a lot of carrots.
I was wondering why I saw you with that sweatshirt that said carrots, carrots, carrots. They had carrots off.
Yeah, it says nothing tastes as good as being cancer-free.
That's right.
So true. So in that time of 11 months of trying to, get the tumor to go away and to shrink it, he also had his root canals removed. So
So
Mm,
you originally asked what were your doctors saying, and
mm,
that also was another journey of its own. And we were set out to find doctors who would listen to us and who would give their professional opinions, and then really help guide us through this journey. So
mm,
and again, it comes back to being your own advocate. Um, I handpicked all of my doctors, even today, that are on my team.
mm,
I had two oncologists. I don't have anything bad to say about them. One was more cold than the other. That's probably the extent, but I never went back to those guys at all.
mm.
I had two surgeons. We went through two surgeons before we found the third. I hold a little bit more of a grudge with them. They told me I was a walking dead man and I was going to leave my wife a widow with 5 little kids.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
But I would walk out of those appointments again, being respectful. We didn't try to go back and forth with them. Savannah Moore did a little bit with one of them,
Mhm.
but I'm like, these aren't the guys. I'm like, God is not, these are, God has revealed to me just in this little hour, consultation for surgery. I'm like, these aren't the guys either. And we're like, Savannah again, she's like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, we're going to pray. We're going to ask God. He's going to provide. And yeah.
Mm,
I think one thing when you have cancer, you're so afraid of the tumor. And so that's what you think. I have cancer because I have a tumor. And we
mhm,
become so hyper focused on shrinking the tumor, even in the conventional world, both
mm,
worlds. You want the tumor to go away because then that would mean you don't have cancer. But really, that's not true. We don't actually believe being tumor free is cancer free. We
mhm,
have cancer flowing through our body, and it's kind of like you could see it as almost Lyme disease.
mm,
You know what triggers it, what sends
mhm,
it back into it, inflames it or brings it back, and you have to keep it in remission. And so you're always living a life that is detoxing and strengthening your immune system and making sure you're not getting overly stressed and handling emotion in the right way and breathing and um, so I did not realize that we didn't have to be so afraid of the tumor.
mm,
Um, because I just spent 11 months thinking, oh, please, Jesus, get this tumor to go away, shrink the tumor. Like
mm,
if we read something that said you can drink a whole bottle of black seed oil and your tumor would
mhm,
go away, I would have been dumping it down his throat. Like
mhm.
I just wanted the tumor to go away.
Right.
Um, and so now we've learned, the tumor is just a symptom of the
Yeah.
disease.
Right.
There's a lot more you have to address.
Yeah.
And so that I think that's why it also took, God didn't open the door for him to have surgery to remove the tumor until we uncovered every root cause and healed every part of his body first. And
Mhm,
then the door for surgery,
mhm.
became open. So
And so then you had the surgery to have the tumor removed,
mhm.
and
So
then
that's a whole God story too. So from my alternative cancer doctor, he 6 months before said, "Hey, he called him the best in the Midwest colorectal surgeon, best in
uh,
the Midwest, right? Yeah. Which one's not the best? Because I want the best doctor, right? Like every doctor says they're the best, but no, I truly believe he is one of the best probably in the
mm,
country.
mhm,
Um, and my alternative doctor said you got to meet with him. Um, and then Savannah, I think that same day as we're driving home, called and they did not accept my insurance. And we're like, all right, well, there's another closed door. And so we'll just continue, going down the hallway. But
mhm,
then at around 11 months, it was actually, we got back from our last time when we went to Hope for Cancer for a follow up. And in our mail, our neighbor was collecting our mail in Savannah. We get a whole stack of mail. and she's going through, and she's like, there's an insurance, like a insurance letter. And in it, she opened it up and it said, your insurance has changed. And Savannah said, do you know what this means? This means that you can go see Dr. Pittman,
The surgeon.
the surgeon
That we wanted to
that
see
we wanted
6
to see
months
6
ago.
months before. Yeah.
Wow.
So we went, I think we were down there like a week later having a consultation. And then I think, what was it, within a month or two,
Mhm.
like I was in prep and, surgery prep and having surgery. And
The first 2 surgeons we met with really wouldn't even do the surgery without him doing chemo and radiation first. They said, if you're just going to jump into surgery, you're a walking dead man. Like, that's where that came from. He mentioned that earlier. But that's, again, like we said, they have a toolbox, and those are the tools that they use. And they just were acknowledging, if you don't use these tools, because that's what they're trained in, just jumping into surgery statistically isn't very promising. And so they refused to do the surgery. The second surgeon said, I guess I'll do it, but I'll go in kicking and screaming. And Zach's like, I'm not going under the knife to you then.
Right.
So we just waited until that insurance, the letter came in that our insurance had changed. And when we went to have a consult with Dr. Pittman, this is our 3rd surgeon by now. And so we were a little nervous. Like, what is this surgeon going to say? And instead of heaping very scary outcomes to us, he actually asked Zach, can I lay hands on you and pray for you? He said, maybe God will remove the tumor and I don't even have to do the surgery. He said, so let me lay hands on you and I want to pray a prayer of healing. And I was like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
That we were walking down the hallway. God didn't shut that door and even prompted the surgeon to ask for healing. Yeah. Here's a picture of it.
We actually put it in our book. Savannah
Oh,
got a
wow.
picture of it. But it was just really, really cool that it was a completely different experience from the other 2 surgeons. And I'm like, this is the guy that God has prepared for us to do the surgery.
Yeah. Wow.
So then I have the surgery.
And
it was by far the hardest thing, physically, mentally, emotionally, that I went through during this whole time. There were a few times where I was in so much pain, and I told Savannah, it was like, I'm not giving up, but I'm like, I want to die. I'm in so much pain. And I'm like, was this even worth it to, basically have my ends, taken off and then resected?
They removed a foot of his lower part of his colon and then stretched the colon to fill in the gap there, and resected him. And the surgeon actually said, Zach, most times we have to give a temporary ileostomy bag. But you have never had radiation. And so that tissue in your rectum, it was very easy to resect you back together, because there was no tissue damage from radiation. So he said that may have been the best decision you've made this whole time, was to not get radiation. Because he didn't have to have a bag.
He said the day because that was one of our number one questions, was, do I have to have a temporary bag, a permanent bag? Being 33 years old, that's a thorn in your side right there. Really at any age.
Like, literally.
Yeah, literally. And that was really our main concern. And he said, it's going to be a 50-50 shot. He said a permanent one, because it was higher up in my rectum. He said, you probably won't have a permanent one, but it will be a 50-50 shot the day of surgery, and I'll make a judgment call. So I'm like, literally my colon is in the hands of this man, right? And I remember it being in post-surgery, I have my eyes closed, I can hear noises, and I'm like, I'm not opening my eyes, and I'm not feeling my abdominal area, because I don't want to know if I was scared to death. So I remember being in post, I could hear everything, all the nurses and doctors coming and going. I remember being wheeled in to the post room, or my actual room at the hospital. And Savannah comes over and whispers, and she says, "You don't have a bag." And I just started weeping. And I'm like, it was almost like a sigh of relief and just gratitude all over again, that, man, like, if I don't know, it was all in God's timing. That's really what it was, because it could have looked differently if I went a different path, if I did radiation. If the tumor was even lower than what it was, if they had to take a little bit more of the rectum. I mean, there were so many factors that could have played, and we believe that God protected my physical body through it all.
But on the other hand, because he did not have a bag, he had to then, when he started eating again a few days later, he did a liquid diet for a day and a half or two. But then he had started eating again, and he had to pass stool through where he was just resected. And so on one hand, we were thankful he didn't have a bag, because that meant he doesn't have to have a second surgery to reverse it. But on the other hand, now we're having to pass stool through that area. And it was extremely painful.
Wow. I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what kind of things were you eating, during that healing, that initial
So juicing was huge.
Yeah,
Smoothies and juice. I adopted a plant-based diet. Still doing that even now. We know some people that say, I think they wait usually like 2 years. Most survivors wait about 2 years from being just plant-based only and healing from cancer. After 2 years, then they start implementing meat. But yeah, as of right now, current date, I'm plant-based diet. A lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables. Juice is huge. I mean, I'm a huge believer. I thought juicing was weird, and we have some friends who juice, and I'd make fun of them, and now I'm one of those weirdos.
Like going to church.
I go tell people, I'm an advocate. I'm like, you know what you need? You need a juice.
Dude,
you
right?
You need a coffee enema. You know what you need? You need hyperbaric chamber.
That is the whole family plant-based now? Like all the kids as well as Savannah?
We eat a little bit of meat here and there.
Okay.
My hemoglobin level, and when I was pregnant, dropped really low, and I was really feeling anemic, and so I've had to supplement a little bit here. So, but
yeah.
I will say, like we used to be, we would be a snack family, and chips, ice cream. Like now we just have frozen fruit, and we put it in our blender, and then we call it ice cream. Like, so our kids don't really know any different. They know it's sweet.
Right.
What else? Instead of eating bags of chips and that, like, sure, they'll have that sometimes.
Yeah.
But Savannah's serving up vegetables and fruits, and like just yesterday she had strawberries and cherries, and she literally puts them out on the kitchen table, and they're gone. Yeah, it's just like, all right, whoever wants a snack, here's your snack for the day. So I mean, it's done a lot for our family. But they're not exclusively plant-based now.
Yeah. Now, when did you find out that you were cancer? There was no cancer. When did they find
that? So it was a year and a half ago. So
surgery was November of 2023. And then they started doing a blood test called the Signatera, which checks for any circulating tumor cells in your body. And they do that every 3 months. So they started, I think it was in February. So November to February of 2024. And he's had every 3 months a blood test, and every time it comes back at 0. So
wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. What do you guys?
I will say though, every 3 months I have to hold my breath again, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm thinking, I should ask you at what point, and maybe from a caregiver's point of view, it's different, but at what point do you not see every little symptom as like I overanalyze everything? Like even if he coughs, I'm like, oh my gosh, did it spread to his lungs? Like I will ask him.
Yeah.
Oh, I just asked him last week. I'm like, why did you just cough? And he's like, I have a tickle in my throat.
Or I had like an itch right here, like up by my liver area. And I was
Right,
just
right.
itching, and she's like, "Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?" And I'm like,
Right,
"I got an itch. Sorry."
right, right,
It's not
right.
my liver. Trust me. It's an itch, not a pain.
I told you I'm in counseling.
Right, right. 'Cause, you know, it's a traumatic. You know, that diagnosis is traumatic for not only the person that's going through it, but like the family, those that love you. You know, so they're nervous for you. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
nervous. So I totally get that. I totally get it. And I know even for me, you know, I've been cancer free for 9 years. So when I get, you know, I have to get my tests. They used to do it every 6 months, but now they do it annually. You still, sometimes I still get like a little, you know, not full blown out like fear, but it's just like, it's like yeah, just a little. I wouldn't call it. Well, maybe it's a little fear. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little fear. Yeah, I think that's normal. Um, but now you guys are actually helping other people on their healing journey. But before I get there, what do you wish that more people knew about healing and cancer?
I got something.
Go ahead. I got something.
You go first.
I would say just something like when I had the tumor, I actually had more peace about leaving it in when people from the outside looking in were saying, "You got to get it removed. You got to get it removed." But one thing we learned at Hope for Cancer was the head doctor, Dr. Tony Jimenez, says that cancer is not a death sentence. And I would say that's easier said than done, you know, if somebody's watching this who has cancer,
Right.
because it took me 4 months to get out of my headspace that I truly believed from December of 2022 to about March or April of 23, I thought I was dying. And you know, that was even after the fact of going to Hope for Cancer, but now looking back at it, it was like I wasn't dying. I felt like I was dying. I thought I was, so it was really a mental game. Um, so yeah, that's what I would, I guess, encourage somebody is cancer is not a death sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would add to that and say Dr. Tony from Hope for Cancer, he would say treat the person with the cancer and not just treat the cancer. And so find a doctor who is willing and has the tools in their tool belt to treat the person, to treat you and not just the cancer. And then to also remember, don't blame yourself, but there's a lot of things that choices that you've probably made that are contributing to your cancer diagnosis, and let that empower you, because there is way more control in your hands than you believe. You can change it, like massive action. It takes massive action, but you can see change.
Yeah. And so you guys wrote this wonderful book. Tell us about the book that you.
Yeah, so I wrote a book. It's called Not Even a Spark. And there was a moment in our journey where there's a verse in Isaiah it's Isaiah 43:2. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. And the flames may not consume you. And I was at home alone. My mom was babysitting the kids and Zach was at work, and a friend had texted me that verse and I got really annoyed. And I fell to the ground and I screamed out to God, I'm on fire. What is it? What do you mean I won't be burned? I'm literally burning. I'm on fire. I was so scared. I was so filled with fear that and it's like a paralyzing fear. Like you
Mhm.
can't even move, or and breathe. And the title "Not Even a Spark" comes from, because looking back, the enemy wanted me to believe that I was on fire. The enemy wanted me to believe that I was burning. But God's word says that we will not be burned. And so I held on to that truth. And so looking back, I named the title of the book "Not Even a Spark," because the truth was God didn't allow even a spark to burn me. So I tell that story of me just flat on the stained Play-Doh rug in our living room, of just the raw realness of you know what cancer can do. Society, movies, songs, it's cancer equals death.
Yeah.
And that's just not the narrative we want
Mhm.
to people to hear. Is cancer doesn't mean death.
Right.
And there's so much you can do to change your environment, to change the whole terrain of your body. You just have to take ownership. So the book is really about our walk through the valley. But I do share in here all of Zach's protocols, what he did to heal, the diet he used, and why, and our juicing, and so everything is in our book. But it
And
really
how
is.
can people get it? Where
It's
can they
on
find the book?
Amazon.
Okay.
It's on Amazon. Yeah, Not Even a
Awesome.
Spark by Savannah.
And tell us about Libby. Is it Libby Wellness?
Labié.
Labié, long
Libby.
A.
Yeah, let's tell us about that.
Yeah, so Savannah, like a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
it was right around my surgery time. Savannah had this idea of sharing our story on Instagram. So again, we prayed, right? We pray about everything. And our prayer was, we said, Lord, if you want us to create this Instagram, this social media platform, just for our friends, 20 or 30 friends and families to have a window into our journey, we're okay with that. But Lord, if you also want to give us an opportunity to share it with the world, then give us that platform as well. And we want to magnify Jesus. We want to give honor and glory to him while encouraging other people along their cancer journey. And within a year, she got, what was it, 120,000 followers.
Wow.
And we had people asking us, like, what's your we're not tech people.
No.
What's your
I didn't even know how to make a reel.
And then, I mean, people would ask us, like, who do you have helping you, and all these technical questions, and we're like, we literally prayed and asked God, and we're like, God gave us this platform. This isn't ours. Like, he's given us access to people, or people access to us, I guess. So she had that, and then she was like, okay, we've spent thousands of dollars on supplements and all, a hyperbaric chamber and a sauna. And she's like, I wonder if these companies have an affiliate program. So she had this, I mean, it stemmed really from her heart and her doing. So, I mean, you can share if you want a little bit more, but that's really where we're like, we want to help encourage people. Now, during this whole time, I was working. And about 6 months ago, I started praying, and I'm like, Lord, I don't believe you allowed me to have cancer, or to go through this cancer journey just to be where I'm at right now. And then about 3 to 4 months ago, was again praying, and I came downstairs, and Savannah's, I think she's working on something on Labié Wellness, and I look at her and I said, I'm supposed to leave my job. I'm supposed to quit. And she's like, what? Like, I'm like, the peace that God gave me to go down to Mexico 2.5 years ago, when everybody said I was crazy, is the same peace that I have before our 6 babies born. God gave me that peace, and I said, I'm supposed to leave by this summer. I said, I have this peace that I'm supposed to give my employer plenty of time, not just, hey, in 2 weeks I'm leaving. But I said July, like I'm leaving in July, because the baby's due in August. And I think that was about a month and a half too long the stretch, there were times where I'd be like, I'm so zoned out.
It's hard to finish well.
Yeah, hard to finish well when yeah. So my prayer was, cancer taught me three things. It was my faith was most important in trusting God and knowing God's voice. Two was you have one life to live, and three is time. Is we all have a set amount of time, whether we operate in the 24-hour days or we look at it as, I thought, I didn't think I was gonna potentially die in my 30s, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, my time clock is really sped up. So that was what my prayer was 6 months ago, was, Lord, how am I supposed to spend my time, whether I have 5 years or whether I have 55 years? And yeah, he just, that still small voice, I always say there's like a feeling, but it's like in my inner man. Like it's not like feeling on like the surface of your body. Like it's inside my soul. And he was just like, I want you to go help as many people, whether that's online or whether that's here in Indiana.
Well, you are certainly helping lots of people. You are certainly helping lots of people, inspiring and encouraging. I think when we hear and see people go through something that is so scary, that's so life altering, but that is able to go through it and willing to be vulnerable and share their story, I think it really helps people. I think people are healed when they hear, like, oh, it gives hope. Like, oh, wait, maybe maybe I can get through this.
Yeah.
And so, what's your website for the wellness company?
Yeah, so it's Labié Wellness, so LABIE wellness.com.
Okay, we'll have it scrolling on the screen. And then, where can folks find you on social media? Like I found you. Where can they find you? What's your social?
Our Instagram is just Labié Wellness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I through all of this, I became a health coach. So it's called Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. And I had a phenomenal experience. So if anybody wants to become a health coach, I can help point them and talk to them about what I did. But now I do a little health coaching.
So folks can come to you for health coaching?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
That's probably our favorite part of our job is we were God has given us the gift of like discipleship. So having masses of amounts of people on Instagram, it's like, yeah, that's cool, but like we want to do the like hand on hand. We want to walk with people. We want to disciple them, whether that's in Christ or disciple them through their health journey. So that's our favorite part of our job.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're also newly on TikTok. And then we want to start kind of a podcast where we're going through my whole protocol sheet and make episodes and talk to survivors like yourself and or doctors and professionals. So we have a YouTube channel, but it's one of the saddest YouTube channels you'll see right now.
We're just starting.
We're just starting.
Okay. Well, what's the YouTube channel so we can help?
It's just again Labié Wellness.
Labié Wellness. Okay.
And then we're on Rumble too, because Savannah had an interview that got taken down on YouTube. It was talking about medicinal mushrooms and the healing powers of mushrooms, and so we're on Rumble, Labié Wellness.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Wow. Well, Zach and Savannah, you guys have really been such a delight to have on and so inspiring. And I just love hearing about your faith walk, and the fact that a lot of what you were doing is just listening to God and just following God's voice. It didn't make sense to anybody else, but it made sense to you. And now you are healthy and thriving. You guys are getting ready to have your 6 babies, so life is good. So thank you so much for sharing your journey. You guys are a true inspiration.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on this opportunity, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, we're an open book, and if we can ever help people in your realm as well and be an encouragement, we'd love to do that. And I mean, really, it's about encouraging people and helping people take ownership of their health.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.